What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and today I wanted to talk about a project that has this really painful place in my heart because it was so close to being amazing, and in a lot of ways it was. And unfortunately, it never really became anything. But it was so ahead of its time in so many ways, but just failed due to bureaucracy and really obnoxious AAA issues that normally plague a lot of the games that we love today. And today we're going to be talking about Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising. Now, this is a game that came out a long time ago. I know it actually looks like a fairly modern game. And this is one of the reasons that I fell in love with this game so long ago. Like, it really did look great, even for an older title. I mean, I'm sure if this had come out today, it would even look that much more amazing. And this was supposed to be an actual competitor to Arma. So I make a lot of videos, you know, being like, oh, hey, can this take on Arma? Can this take on Arma? This was actually supposed to take on Arma, and it did a lot of the things that you would expect from an Arma competitor. It had a really, really good piece of editing software, so you could actually make missions, and you could do, you know, special scenarios. It had really solid multiplayer. It had really large open environments. I mean, the maps were absolutely huge. You had all of these different vehicles, and I have to say, even though the artificial intelligence had a couple of issues compared to Arma at the time, you know, definitely Arma 2 or so, the AI was actually also really good. Not perfect, mind you, but much better than a lot of other AI at the time. But the problems that killed this game still to this day boggle my mind, because I was there on the ground floor of this project being released, of the modding community. I watched it all from the very beginning to the bitter end. And what happened was, the game came out and it had support for mods. And one of the first things that they did was kind of depreciate support for mods. They got rid of the mods. They made it so the editor was infunctional, where they kind of just got rid of the editor entirely, and they kept locking it down more and more and more, to the point where nobody could really do anything with it. And there were so many issues with the base game that were not really particularly huge issues. They were easily fixable by mods, but they just didn't want anybody touching it. It was so bizarre. So I was actually a part of one of the mod teams that was trying to keep this game alive, because the multiplayer was one of those matchmaking based multiplayer systems where there had to be a master server. And the company, Codemasters, that created Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising, actually pulled the plug on the master server. So that way it got to this point, not only were mods depreciated and the editor was depreciated, now you couldn't even play the game online. It was physically impossible. So me and a bunch of other modders got together and we actually rebuilt a master server. It was kind of hacky, but it worked, and you could actually play the game online again. If you actually want to check out those files, I'll put a link in the video. I still have those files available, because if you really want to play Dragon Rising, you still can online. It is still possible. Maybe I'll boot it up and do another match here sometime in the near future. But I think one of the reasons this game is such a good game to look at is it's such a perfect case study for how games are killed today. It's the same issues over and over again, causing the same problems. You've got these games that come out with technology that's amazing, and these companies that release it, they don't want anybody to touch it. They would almost prefer that the entire game dies than if anybody tries to make mods for it to continue its lifespan. And that's such an odd reality to be in, where you have game developers where they put a game out, and whether it's the publishers or whoever gets involved, it's not even that they're failing to keep the game alive. It's almost like they intentionally build it to die. And that's something I think a lot of you all need to be on the lookout for games nowadays. You know, does the game have an SDK? If it doesn't, that's kind of a problem. It's going to have a lifespan. Another big no-no. Does this game rely on some kind of centralized matchmaking server or master server in order to be playable? If it does, and that master server isn't, you know, something universal or neutral or rehostable by the community, that's another big red flag that that game is built to die. And there's so many games out there nowadays that still do this and still kind of get away with it. So that's a big issue that I've had with not just Dragon Rising, but a lot of other titles. I wanted to revisit this game. I wanted to talk about it a little bit more because it is an incredible game. But its lifespan was just cut so short, preemptively, by the powers that be. And it's just such a shame. It's such a shame. So, if you want to check this out, again, I've got links. You can, you know, go and try and pick up a copy of this game. I'm not sure if it's still on Steam or not. They might have pulled it from there, because the irony is that this game actually could have taken down Arma. If this game was in the right hands, this game could have actually taken on Arma. And I'm hoping that the death of this game kind of can serve as a warning to other game developers in the future. It's like, if you want your game to succeed, you need to open it up. You need to make it so the community can continue to support it even if you decide not to anymore. You know, you need to make your games so they're inclusive and open, not just like this experience that you build and you don't want anybody else to touch, and you force everybody to experience the game in only a specific way or they're out. You know, like, you can't do that with games anymore. And hopefully something like Dragon Rising showing that that doesn't fly will convince people that they shouldn't make their games like this. But it is a shame regardless, because this was a great game. If you want to see more of this, let me know. And if you want to see more interesting games, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Come back to me, Dragon Rising. I miss you.